Yo, what up, what up, what up, and welcome back to Pnoid News. Man, listen, all right, my boy TK Mal suggested we do this video, so I'm gonna do this video, right? I've been wanting to do it. I've been fucking busy, like legitimately, but I got a couple of minutes today because I'll be honest, it's raining outside, so I can't take my daily 3 mile walk, and I'm not doing it in the fucking rain. So it says rare lumber trade shows how extreme U.S. shortages have become. And as anybody has heard, the lumber market has gone insane, right? Now, this is not just a process of regular inflation, right? Where they're just printing money and whatever. This is a giant clusterfuck of a loop, and I'm gonna try to break some of it down for you. All right. For a look at just how extreme America's shortage of lumber has become, consider this. For the first time in recent memory, a lumber yard was the one selling wood to a supplier. This kind of trade is virtually unheard of in a normal world. Wholesale distributors buy lumber from sawmills and sell that to the yards that home builders frequent. But lumber markets today are anything but normal. Futures have surged on more than 60% to record levels this year, as the entire timber supply chain collapses under the weight of soaring demand from people renovating their homes and buying bigger ones. Sawmills can't keep up with orders, truck shipments have been delayed, and distributors are running short on product. That's how crazy the marketplace is, said RCM Alternatives lumber analyst Brian Leonard, who has covered the industry for 35 years and had previously never heard of lumberyards selling to distributors. Obviously, it shouldn't happen. You never push product back up the chain. But today you can because of the volatility of the market. And as you can see, what I'm saying, this is, is what it is. Right now, this is going to end up spiraling out of control as far as this stuff is really concerned. Now, to understand all this, we have to understand why it's happening as a whole, right? Okay. The reason is because of the fact that nobody can get evicted from their house, right? We have all these eviction moratoriums, you can't get evicted, you can't get repossessed, you can't get, your house, foreclosed on, right? Because of what's going on with the coronavirus. So with that being said, you're not allowed to get kicked out of your house. So anybody who wants a house has to basically build a new one. And people who want apartments have to, they had to build apartments for them because nobody is moving. And I'll be honest, right? I've been looking for places for the past 3 or 4 months and I can't find a place. Real shit, there's just nowhere to live. The supply is so low because nobody's moving because a lot of people, still don't have jobs or whatever the case is, or they're living on unemployment or government benefits or whatever it is. So they're not going nowhere and they can't get evicted if they don't pay their rent because of, coronavirus. And so if you want a place, you literally have to have an 800 credit score, which a lot of individuals do. So they're just building new homes. Now, new homes building begin starts, right? Housing starts and building permits that were put out and housing completions are at record levels right now. Okay. Privately owned housing units authorized by building permits in March were seasonally adjusted rate of 1,766,000. This is 2.7% above the revised February rate and is 30.2% above the March 2020 rate of 1.3 million, right? Single family authorizations in March were at a rate of 1.199. This is 4.6% above the revised number, right, of authorizations of units in buildings with 5 or more units were at a rate of 508,000, right? This kind of says the same thing. It's 37% above the March 2020 rate. Single families, this is 15.3% above the revised February figure, right, of 1,074,000, the March rate. Privately owned housing completions in March were at a seasonally adjusted rate of 1.5 million. This is 16.6% above the revised February estimate. Basically what the deal is there's a lot of houses being built right now. Just a fuck ton, right? Home prices annually rose nationally in January from 11.2% year over year, according to the latest S&P CoreLogic. Now, a lot of the reason that this is happening is because home prices are just going up exponentially. So People figure if I buy now, the house is just going to go up in price because of inflation, you know what I'm saying, and currency manipulation that we've been doing with the amount of money printing. So, you know what I mean, I included this graph here, which is important, right? Because this is the Federal Reserve's balance sheet. So as this balance sheet goes up, that means there's more cash in the market, means your dollar is worth less, which means that basically, you know what I'm saying, your house is going to go up in price because of inflation. Here's I think the main crux of the problem as a whole. This is mortgage-backed securities, right? Mortgage-backed obligations held by the Federal Reserve Bank. Basically, the Federal Reserve owns over 30% of all mortgages right now. And with the Federal Reserve owning 30% of all mortgages, basically, you know what I'm saying, 1/3 of the entire market as a whole, it's going to end up driving up the price of housing, right? Because if these individuals, and this is the thing about, you know what I mean, the Fed's owning houses, right? And the Fed's owning mortgages. If they own the mortgage, they're not going to evict or, you know what I'm saying, throw anybody out. So that means that that housing supply is basically null and void, and now it's off the market as a whole. It just doesn't exist, which automatically drives up the cost of the, you know what I'm saying, remaining supply, the other 2/3 of the housing. So basically, the Fed cannot get rid of this shit on their books without dropping the value of all housing in the United States by 30%. That is the basic premise of this, right? So they're caught in the catch-22. That means they have to do this forever, right? It took them 5 years to unload the last batch that they had, and now they have more. The Fed should have never done this in the first place, or we need to go to a system where the Federal Reserve is now loaning people money for fucking houses. One of the two. Like, I just don't know. Legitimately, I just in general don't know. Because this is fucking tragic right here, as far as I'm concerned. This is diabolically tragic. Because all you're going to do is cause frustration with everybody else who wants to buy a house or wants to live somewhere. Because how are you going to survive and buy a house and start a family, or, you know what I mean, just in general have a place to live, if the cost of housing just exponentially continues to increase? It's just a basic premise. Like, because I know as an older dude, right? Like, I'm 37. When I was 21, it was tough to swing rent because, like, it is what it is when you're a fucking kid. Like, it was always tough to swing rent when you're younger, right? Because you're not making as much money, like, and you don't have experience. Like, you can grind your dick off, you know what I'm saying, and come home with like $500 in your pocket for the week, like, you know, and that's, yo, that was good money back then. Legit, back in the 2000s, that was good money. But still, when most rent was at $700 a month, you know what I mean? Like, I had a couple places that were like $450 and $500. But even then, you don't get that much money in your pocket. Like, that money, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you have to pay taxes and pay insurance and pay for 401k or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? You have to pay for all these things. Like, yo, you don't have all that money at one time. So that means you got to save up to pay your rent. Which rent's supposed to be a quarter of your take-home income. Like, that's what housing is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a quarter of your take-home income. Like, if you have a $350,000 house, that's a $2,400 a month payment. Who's making $2,400 a week? Like, legitimately, that's a lot of dough. Like, I know there's people out here getting it like that. I get your mentality, but there's not that many. Legit. You're going to have two people inside of a household working to get that done. And that's not positive for anybody as a whole. So this is kind of where I'm at. I wanted to bring you this video. I figured, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, these are the kind of things that we stand here and, you know, we cover on a regular basis. So it is what it is. Like, share, and subscribe. Put your comment in the comment section. Like, legit, yo, there's no way this doesn't collapse. You know, Tom Pease with Pnoid News. You know the deal. Like, share, and subscribe. Peace.